Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Join hosts Dan Melnick and Qasim Masood as they explore big ideas, limitless possibilities, and engage with visionaries, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders who dare to dream big, get inspired, motivated, and find practical tips for personal growth. Think big, dream bigger, and ignite your potential.
Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Our guest today is David. So David, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us where you live and what you do.
Yeah, so my name is David Holmes. I run Redview Ventures, which is an Amazon growth agency. I live in Austin, Texas. Yeah.
Awesome. So I'm just curious about your background. How did you get into this space? What did you do before?
Yeah, so I got my start in online business back in 2016, actually. And I was selling t-shirts through Merch by Amazon, and also had a couple SEO sites. So I sold a couple SEO sites through Empire Flippers, and then I sold my Merch by Amazon business through FE International. And then I bought an FBA business through that, sold it through Quiet Light, and then started my agency. I've been running that for the last 3 years.
Awesome. So I guess what made you kind of want to go from being an Amazon FBA seller to being an agency owner? What made you have that switch?
Well, really, it was just when I was running my FBA brand, we were growing so quickly that all of the money kept going into inventory. So we grew 500% in the first year because I bought it off of Flippa, grew at 5x. And at the end of the day, I was I am personally broke. all of the money is in inventory. This isn't fun to run. Built a lot of equity value, but the free cash flow was not that much. So then agency is pretty much the exact opposite, right? So there's a lot of free cash flow in running an agency. The equity value might not be as high, but it's just a good trade-off.
Yeah, and I guess obviously there's many people in this space. So I guess what do you kind of focus on, or I guess do differently or better compared to many of these companies out there?
Yeah, so we really focus on D2C brands who spend a lot of money on Facebook ads. So we work with a couple brands to spend $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 a day on Facebook ads. And really, what I think most Amazon agencies get wrong is they don't focus on the holistic marketing strategy, right? They're focused on just the Amazon P&L. They're not focused on the overall business P&L. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter where the net profit dollars come from, whether it's Shopify, Amazon, wholesale, as long as you're making more net profit at the end of the day. And that's one thing where we're able to integrate across all aspects. So we can say, okay, we're going to track your Facebook spend, and then we're going to adjust your on Amazon spend, and a more holistic view there. And I think it really helps.
I love that. Yeah, man. I mean, I could not agree more. I think that's so true. And I agree with you just because exactly for us, we kind of focus more on DTC, but it's the same thing. It's Amazon retail. Everything is all in one. And sometimes you can't really measure the exact attribution, but it all works in sync because, certain customers have different preferences of which platforms they want to buy on.
I mean, yeah, we see that all the time. I mean, we've seen it across some major D2C brands where even if there is a little bit of cannibalization from Amazon, when they launch on Amazon, typically the overall revenue, and this applies to 7, 8, 9-figure brands, goes up by 15 to 20%, and their MER goes up as well. So they're getting more efficient across every single platform.
And I guess how do you go around that, right? Because just, to your point earlier, Amazon is a behemoth. They don't like you selling so much on your website, or at least with pricing. So how do you measure that to be very successful on both platforms?
Well, so there's kind of two things there, right? Because I feel there's this myth that you can't price higher on your website than Amazon, but Amazon really they're not scraping every single website, right? They're scraping the major marketplaces. They're scraping Target. They're scraping Walmart. They're scraping some second tier, third tier marketplaces. They're not scraping a lot of Shopify sites, if we're being honest. And you can get away with some of these different pricing. But in terms of how we kind of measure Amazon versus Shopify, obviously the value of the customer relationship on Shopify is higher, but we have seen more people tend to subscribe on Amazon. The subscribe and save from Amazon is particularly attractive, especially when they already have 5 or 6 other subscriptions. They have laundry detergent, they have laundry sheets, all this other stuff from Amazon. So it's just adding your D2C brand to that subscribe and save program is going to be very attractive to the consumer.
100%. Yeah. I mean, I think it's both platforms have their place. And just to your point, many people in this country are Amazon shoppers, Amazon Prime members, right? And they just go for that convenience. And certain products, I think, do make more sense on Amazon just because you kind of want to make sure that you get it in 2 days, like, as opposed to waiting sometimes like a week for USPS.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like it's such a Amazon's logistics is such an advantage for many brands, and people are just used to it. And many D2C brands like can't compete with like that 2 day shipping.
And I guess like when you are looking at omni-channel, obviously, there's DTC, but are you also looking at retail? Like, do you have brands that are in retail? Or I guess like what does that look like for you?
So we don't work with a lot of brands that have extensive retail presence right now. Now, what I have seen is selling in large volumes on Amazon typically leads to more wholesale relationships and more relationships with big box retailers like Target, Walmart. And that's because it's relatively easy to be a quote unquote like unknown Shopify brand doing like 7-figure months. But when you're the best seller in the category on Amazon in like collagen supplements, for example, then like Walmart wants you at their stores. And oftentimes like they reach out to the best sellers on Amazon just so that they can get you into their stores.
For sure, yeah, because I guess like it's right there, it's written. And just to your point, if you're a big Shopify store, most Walmart buyers probably won't know who you are.
Exactly. I mean, and like just like launching on Amazon gives you that kind of visibility, right? Where it's like unless you have like a very big like name brand outside of Amazon, I mean, it's pretty easy. I know a number of Shopify stores that are doing 7-figure months and nobody would ever hear about them. But it is what it is.
No, yeah, exactly. And I guess like other platforms, now like TikTok is big, it's a marketplace. So is that something that you've seen make a difference, or how do you kind of like integrate that with your clients?
Yeah, so we've seen that make a massive difference. Obviously, there's like the whole customer perception of like TikTok is kind of like a little bit scammy and stuff like that. And a lot of people are just uncertain about buying on TikTok Shop. Like, I mean, you can poll consumers. They feel like it's like shopping on like Temu, like shop like a billionaire. But what we've seen is like TikTok Shop and TikTok in general boost that top of funnel awareness. And then they go to Amazon, search on Amazon, and Amazon's a much more trusted platform. People think it's like US based, they're buying from like a US seller, and then they'll purchase on Amazon.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've done in the past as well, where I go like see something on TikTok, I'll check Amazon, and like sometimes I think I'll check to see if I can get like a better deal on a similar product. So how do you kind of like on Amazon make sure that people are going for like that main product as opposed to like something that's actually cheaper?
Yeah, so that's actually a really common problem that we encounter. I mean, we predominantly work with like premium brands. Most of our brands are priced 2 to 3 times higher than the category average. So there's a couple strategies. One is obviously you show up first for your branded terms. I mean, top of search campaigns, adjusting your advertising. That's kind of like strategy number 1. Strategy number 2 is you send traffic to your brand store. Now, why would you choose your brand store instead of like your product listing? Well, your competitors can advertise on your product listing on Amazon. So if you go to any product listing on Amazon, your competitors might show up if you're not willing to spend money there, but they can't advertise on your storefront. So you can send it directly to your storefront, create your own custom landing page on your storefront, and then you see good conversion rates there. I really like that one in like apparel. That's a great strategy for like apparel brands.
Yeah, and I guess like obviously Amazon is, has their own thing with like FBA. So how do you kind of like, if someone's like on Shopify, obviously they have like their own 3PL. So how do you kind of like help manage that partnership to make sure that FBA is like a seamless thing that they're adding as like, part of this new channel?
Yeah, I mean, so most brands, like you just have to be on FBA. Like, I mean, just to be competitive in that brand. Typically, all the brands like we work with, they're already working with a 3PL or they have their own warehouse. In that case, it's fairly simple to get them set up on FBA. I mean, we got to like prep the inventory. We got to get the barcodes. We got to train the 3PL staff into how to get into FBA inventory, but it's not really that hard. Obviously, Amazon, sometimes they just lose inventory, shipments get lost. It's impossible to schedule a pickup, but that's kind of, I mean, that's just stuff you kind of deal with when dealing with such a big company that Amazon is.
For sure. And I guess like in terms of obviously like most DTC brands are fit for Amazon, but are there any brands that you see like certain categories like this is not a fit that come for Amazon?
There's some like kind of niche apparel brands that are probably like not a great fit for Amazon. And there's some very high priced like luxury products that are like not a great fit for Amazon. But the more I see actually, it's actually quite interesting because like if you would ask me like probably like a year or two ago, I'd be like, okay, like yeah, like premium price product, like $1,000 products shouldn't be on Amazon. But I'm seeing those products succeed. Even just if they just capture branded traffic, there is that pool of buyers where they will only purchase from Amazon. And I think more and more brands are coming around to this idea where like it doesn't hurt your brand image to be on Amazon. If you look closely, a lot of the brands back in 2019, 2020 that were like, oh, we're leaving Amazon, like it hurts our brand image, they're back on Amazon today. I mean, Athletic Greens just launched back on
I
Amazon. They
saw
were
that.
dealing
Yeah.
with all these problems on Amazon. More and more, you just have to be where the customers are shopping. And it's not really about like brand perception because we used to get that a lot.
Yeah, and I think also it's like AG1, for example. I always used to say, I'm like, it's crazy how much revenue they're missing out because people are searching for it on Amazon, and you have these knockoffs that come in. Oh yeah, like let me, like it's just people don't realize it, right? So it's like the fact that they're actually on there, people look for the real thing, and it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I mean, their situation was a little bit unique because they had like customer safety concerns because people were like buying counterfeits. And don't get me wrong, counterfeits on Amazon is a big problem. It's very prominent in like the supplement niche. And they had pixel for pixel copies of like their product images, but it was just like a fake green powder. And there's a couple of ways to deal with that. For them, they had to specifically put like a holographic sticker that was specifically formulated just for their bags that competitors couldn't copy. And I think they had a direct agreement with Amazon because they had so many like consumer product safety complaints. And they were like, well, it's a competitor knockoff.
Exactly, yeah. And I guess it's like, do you see Amazon now taking those things more seriously? Because I mean, just to your point, it's been an issue for a long time where you have, companies from China or from wherever coming in and, not respecting our IP laws, copying brands. Like, what does that look like to actually like give like Shopify store owners like that peace of mind?
Yeah, so I mean, they are doing a lot better in terms of that. Now, there's a couple of like layers of defense. Obviously, like there's Amazon transparency. So it's a serial number barcode that you apply to every single unit that you send to Amazon and actually across your entire product line. And that's designed to prevent counterfeiters, resellers from selling on Amazon without having like your brand permission. That's been a great program to help. And then a lot of times you really just have to be active with like litigation and then submitting copyright infringement complaints, trademark infringement complaints, because it is like a game of whack-a-mole. And if you're not monitoring it closely, then you could get in trouble. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I sort of have to be on top of that. I guess like, do you see still like where it's pretty common where a company will maybe take like an old listing, change the listing, and then put like a different product? Like, have you seen things like that? Like, I'm still happening.
That one's happening a lot less now. Like, yeah, that's referring to like hijacking.
Yeah.
Where you just take like an old like GS1 like product listing and then you just send it a completely separate product. And you can tell by looking at the reviews and you're like, hey,
Yep.
these reviews are for like a hair curling iron and this is like a Dyson vacuum.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That one's happening a lot less because that one's pretty easy to detect. I would say a lot of the black hat tactics are happening a lot less. Amazon has gotten a lot better about those.
Yeah, and I guess like, I mean, obviously now in 2025, people are always like looking at AI, and Amazon obviously has their own AI. Like, where do you see kind of AI coming into play? Like this year, next year, just in the future, like going with Amazon?
So I'm honestly going to be kind of like a bear on this because I think so. Amazon's been touting like their voice shopping and like live shopping all the time. And people are like, oh, like live shopping's like so big in like China. Like, why isn't it big like in the US? And I think it's really like cultural where I think I don't see like as big of an impact for like Amazon's AI, like because at the end of the day, like what might happen is like you type in like best collagen supplement and then Amazon is going to surface the same like 16 results, but Amazon still has to pay for ads because like their ad segments has been growing as a percentage of their revenue. I honestly don't think it's going to have like that much of an effect. Now, like what will have an effect on is if your product is recommended in ChatGPT. That
Yes.
will have an effect because then that will send it directly to like your product listing. But like Amazon's internal AI, I'm not as kind of like bullish on it there.
Yeah, I think with the live shopping, it's an interesting conversation. I mean, obviously, QVC has been a thing for a while in the US. But yeah, I guess like Amazon, their live shopping hasn't picked up like a TikTok or even QVC, but it is something where it could change. I mean, I think it just depends like on the product. Certain products are probably not as interesting. I mean, obviously, I'm probably not the right customer for QVC, but I guess it just depends. So.
I mean, like we worked with one like massive brand that did great on TikTok. And we tested live streaming on Amazon at the same time. This was back in like 2022 when Amazon was really trying to push live streaming, and it had like no effect. And it seems like they've kind of like shied away from that now. Whereas before, like obviously like Prime Day is going on like right now as we are recording. And before they used to have like the live streams on like the front page of Amazon, and like now it's like nowhere to be found.
Yeah, I think Amazon, it's like just my perspective, like people sort of know like what they're looking for, right? They're searching for collagen, like you mentioned earlier, and they're like, okay, like which collagen should I choose? As opposed to like on TikTok or Instagram, people are sort of like doom scrolling and just kind of like whatever, and they see it and they're like, oh, that's interesting. But like as opposed to Amazon, like people are just, okay, like I'm looking for collagen, which collagen, should I buy? And that's it.
Yeah. It's definitely like much lower in the funnel. What's interesting actually is for some products, board games are a good example, and like kind of like unique card games. You can actually get that top of funnel awareness on Amazon because so there's a certain set of products where like the AOV is too low to like really be cost effective for Facebook ads. So like they retail for like $20 to $50, and like if it's not consumable, like you're not going to be profitable on Facebook ads with that. But what you can do is use sponsor brand video ads, and you treat it kind of like the Facebook ad algorithm where you advertise across like card games for kids. And then you treat that sponsor brand video as a Facebook ad. So like these people are scrolling card games for kids, and then all of a sudden you pop up your game, you have a quick hook, like you capture attention the first 3 seconds, you draw the click. And we've actually seen really good success with that.
That's awesome. So I guess now we're kind of like at a halfway point here in 2025. So what are you most focused on for your agency here for the rest of this year?
So right now we're really just focused on kind of like refining our processes and scaling up. Really, like we tend to work with brands for the long term. So like the average brand stays with us for like at least a year. And right now, obviously Prime Day focused on kind of like just like the daily optimization during Prime Day, and then really just refining processes as we kind of continue to grow.
So if you could go back in time to before you started this business, what is the one biggest piece of advice that you wish you knew?
That's a great question. I think about that every day. I would immediately hire somebody for fulfillment, right? So like right now, I have a team of 2 brand managers. We have a PPC team. We have a graphic design team. And that is what transformed this from like me as an individual consultant selling like my Amazon expertise to an actual business. And yeah.
I'm just going to say like in the very beginning, it was just you all by yourself. Wow. Okay.
And that was like a big mental unlock where I was like, okay, this is like an actual agency. This isn't just me selling my time or selling my expertise to like friends and stuff like that. Like, no, like we've helped a lot of like very big brands, and like now we have 5 team members. And yeah, we're growing. So
that's awesome. So if somebody's watching this and if they wanted to work with you, do you mind sharing your social media or website? I guess best ways to get in contact.
Yeah, so our website is redviewventures.com. We predominantly work with DSC brands who want to scale on Amazon. You can already be on Amazon, or if you're trying to launch on Amazon. We just launched a DSC brand on Amazon 9 months ago now. They hit 500,000 per month in the first 3 months, and they're continuing to grow from there. So, yeah.
So if you're a D2C brand and if you want to get launched on Amazon, reach out to David. And David, thanks so much for your time today.
Yeah, thank you as well. It's always great talking with you.